So, Tom Aspinall in his recent vlog teased that he had a meeting with Ankalaev with Dana White at MSG about the Jon Jones fight. So, we're gonna talk about this and give like a mini breakdown on how I think this fight will go, how Jon Jones can win, how Tom Aspinall can win, you know, all of that. Well, before we get into it, we are really close to 500 subs. Thank you guys to anybody who has subscribed, like, comment. It all helps. Like I've been saying, November, October has been the best months of this channel by far, and I can only thank you guys for it. But back to the topic of the video, Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall uploaded his vlog where he went to UFC 309. He was the backup fighter, as we all know, to this fight. So, you know, you watch a video, he was joking about having a few beers. Eventually, he ended up having more since he didn't need to fight. But having us know that cage side, having Jon Jones give him the nod on the walkout, and what he said in his post-fight press conference, we are gonna get Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. Dana wants it. The UFC wants it. Fans want it. Jon Jones wants it. I feel like Jon Jones, even with all the ducking you want to say in that, he does want that challenge. He does want the win over Aspinall on his record because, he has that win over Stipe that will always have an asterisk next to it because Stipe was 42. He did not look like he was in good shape. Yeah, same with Mike Tyson. Going into it, his training footage worked really good. He was really big, really quick. But age catches up to everyone, and Jon Jones broke Stipe's rib. Stipe uh, went for a gasp of air at the end of the first round. But like Tom Aspinall is different in the fact where if Jon Jones can beat Tom Aspinall, he beats the only credible heavyweight there is, right? Pavlovich looked like it. Pavlovich has been losing fights. You know, we all remember when Johnny Walker was the one that was gonna beat Jon Jones. Look how that happened. Uh, but I do think Tom Aspinall has better skill. Obviously, he's a heavyweight, and you know, with that, Aspinall is athletic too. He has grappling, he has jiu-jitsu, wrestling, he has really good striking, he has the reach. You know, it's it'd be interesting to see because Jon Jones has always struggled with taller opponents throughout his career, whether it was Gustafsson in the first fight, Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith gave him a bit of trouble. Um, Thiago Santos gave him trouble. All these guys that are, well, I mean, Thiago Santos, isn't he like 6 foot or something? Like, we all know that the taller guys gives Jon Jones more threats than the smaller ones, unless your name was DC. But even then, he then knocked out DC, which was then overturned. But like I'm saying, like I feel like Jon Jones realizes it, where this is the easiest time for him to cement his legacy as the greatest heavyweight and the greatest fighter of all time. He beats Aspinall, like I said. There's nobody at heavyweight deserves a title shot. You can say Volkov, you can say some of these guys in the top five, but they wouldn't do what Aspinall and Pereira does to Jon Jones' legacy. You know, say he goes out, beats Aspinall, beats Pereira. What does a win over Volkov do? Yes, Volkov, I guess, is a 7 foot guy with a longer reach than Jon Jones, maybe. But again, Volkov, I feel like he will be able to game plan for. I think, like Demetrius Johnson said this in his video, where the way the weight classes and the fact that Jon Jones was that light heavyweight for years, he's bringing a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge that no heavyweights typically have. No heavyweight has the wrestling ability that Jon Jones has. No heavyweight has the that kind of frame gifted to them that Jon Jones has. Jon Jones, we all know, well, I guess in heavyweight he was fairly chunky, but like, skinny arms, skinny legs. It's helped him throughout his career pick apart some of the best fighters. And, like I said, if you can do that to Aspinall, but flipping sides to Aspinall, if he can beat Jon Jones, if he can knock out Jon Jones, submit Jon Jones early, you gotta put Tom Aspinall in the GOAT conversation. And so in some people's eyes, he already is with the amount of first round knockouts, first round finishes he has. Like I said, he's beaten every credible contender in heavyweight. And when Jon Jones leaves, since Stipe retired, Tom Aspinall most likely will be the heavyweight champion for years to come. He's young in that division. He's fast. He's powerful. He has everything you need to become a champion in any weight class, Aspinall. But especially in heavyweight. Especially in the weight class that power trumps skill more often than not. We saw what Tybura did to Denise. I don't think either of those guys will make it to, the higher ranks. Maybe they do. But again, I feel like a Tom Aspinall or Jon Jones or even a Cyril Gahn. Cyril Gahn I kind of have doubts with. But some of these top guys, they would run through these typical heavyweights that are big belly brawlers. Maybe there's some jiu-jitsu. But it's easier for a guy like Jones, like I said, with the amount of fight knowledge he has, to pick apart any opponent he has, right? This fight, the Stipe fight though, it should have happened years ago. I know that Francis knocked him out. I know that Jon Jones wanted to bulk up to heavyweight. It really didn't need to do it either. And again, I keep references. Demetrius Johnson, he said the exact same thing. He said that Jon Jones didn't need to bulk up the extra 20, 30, 40 pounds, whatever it was, to fight at heavyweight. He could have fought at heavyweight at his walking around weight of, I'm pretty sure he'd be around 220, usually 230. I know that Alex Pereira walks around at 240. He walks around heavier than Jon Jones and some other heavyweights, which is why that fight is interesting, right? And obviously Pereira knocked out everybody he's faced at light heavyweight, not named Jan Blachowicz, and he, beat every middleweight fighter that he fought. Beat Izzy 3 times. And I have to agree with Jon Jones, where even though as good as Aspinall is, even though that I'm saying that Aspinall really is the only heavyweight that is worth Jon Jones fighting. Alex Pereira in a win over him, even though he's in a lower weight class, what you guys don't get is that does more for Jones' legacy at this time than a Tom Aspinall win does. Now, like I said, I'm pretty sure the Arsenal fight will happen probably International Fight Week. You're gonna see Pereira and Jon Jones fight around the same time, and then I'm assuming if Jon Jones can beat Aspinall, like I've been saying, they will do the Pereira Jones fight at MSG. Big event. Probably will be the biggest event of all time with how big of a star Pereira is, how big of a draw Jon Jones has been his entire career. I feel like that's one of the biggest fights you can make. Obviously, there's Topuria, Makachev, there's other champ versus champ fights and super fights that we want to see. But for many people, the fights we want to see, I should say, is Jones Pereira. We want Jones Arsenal. We want Francis though. We want to see what Francis can do against a Jon Jones, against a Tom Aspinall, against an Alex Pereira. Again, Pereira versus Francis Ngannou probably is my dream fight, and the sad reality is that we probably will never get that fight because of Dana and the UFC being bitter about him signing with PFL. Uh, it's sad because he only signed a 2 year deal there. He can come back sign like, a 3 or 4 fight deal, have one or two more years in the UFC, and as a fans, we can get all of these fights that we want to see, right? But again, it's up to the UFC. It's up to Dana. We've seen how fighter rivalries work out for fighters when they go against Dana, and typically they don't win. Francis is the odd scenario where he bet on himself and he won. You can say he lost. There's 2 boxing matches. With those 2 boxing matches, he made more money there than he would have made in probably 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. I know the UFC offered him 10 mil to fight Jon Jones, but again, fighting Jon Jones, we didn't know at that time if Francis could keep up. But after what Francis did to Renan Pereira, a taller, faster, younger contender, it makes Jon Jones versus Arsenal, Jon Jones versus Francis interesting. It makes Francis versus Tom Aspinall interesting. Like I said, my dream fight, that makes that interesting, right? But we'll have to see. Obviously, the politics takes place before the fight, sadly. But I hope that we get these fights. I'm glad that Tom Aspinall released that footage at the end of his vlog, teasing that it's already in the works. They already had one meeting. Maybe I'd assume we would get an announcement closer to Fight Week, International Fight Week, of the fight. But that's looking like, barring any injury, the fight that will be made next. So we'll see. We'll see. Can Jon Jones adapt to the scariest opponent he will ever face? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And yeah, later.